Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good afternoon to all the listeners of EKIM FM. Welcome to a brand new episode of AI and You Season 2, Smart Tech, Smarter You. I'm Batrisyia, Afrina. Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much, listeners, for tuning to us from wherever you are. Either you are tuning to this through radio or even through our social media pages, Facebook, and also YouTube. And throughout this season of AI and You, I will not be hosting alone. I am joined by Dr. Shaikh Saifuddin bin Shaikh Saleh, who is the Director of Research at Research Management Unit, Institute of Kefahaman Islam Malaysia, EKIM. Assalamualaikum, Doctor.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi. How are you today, Batrisyia?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm looking forward to our discussion today, actually.
Alhamdulillah, it is indeed. Today's conversation is very interesting. And Doctor, this is, I would say, a twist to our typical topic that we usually talk in this program of AI and You. But before that, we would like to let you know that for this season of AI and You, it is in a partnership collaboration with the Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics, Cairo, Universiti Teknologi Malaysia, UTM. And as a part of this collaboration, we are recording today in one of their labs, in their laboratories, in the field robotics and agricultural lab. So with today's team on the Smart Tech Smarter You, inshallah, we would like to bring you on an insightful journey on understanding what is artificial intelligence, its growing role in our daily life, and also how can we benefit from this advanced technology for the benefit of the Ummah and also for the society. And if we go to today's conversation, the topic for our today's conversation, usually when we type in our password or our secret codes, all those that involve something that relates to the modern cryptography. But even before the technology from the computer, there's someone who needs to figure out how to crack this code. So to talk about cracking this code, it is significant to our figure that we would like to talk about for today's conversation, who is Al-Kindi. And to talk about it, we have here joining us Professor Dr. Shamsul bin Sahibuddin, who is from Faculty of Artificial Intelligence, Universiti Teknologi Malaysia, UTM, to talk about Al-Kindi, father of cryptanalysis. We welcome to the studio. Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi, and very, very good afternoon. Thank you for having me here.
Alhamdulillah, it is such an honor to have you with us to talk about our very beautiful topic for our today's conversation, Prof.
Right. Okay, Prof, when we mentioned the name Al-Kindi, I did chemistry.
Okay.
When I did chemistry, of course, I came across the Al-Kindi's name.
Yes.
But all through my professional life, I've always associated Al-Kindi with chemistry. But we know he's a polymath. He masters a lot of everything, right? So today we're going to focus on one of his specialties, which is cryptanalysis. So who was Al-Kindi actually, and why is he regarded one of the greatest scholars from the Islamic Golden Age?
Okay, we are talking about AI. We are talking about cryptanalysis, and now we're going back 1,200 years ago. Okay. Why do we have to do that? Okay, Al-Kindi, his real name is Abu Yusuf Yaqub Ibn Ishaq Al-Kindi. He was born in 801 and he passed away in 873. So that was about 1,200 years ago. Now you have to bear in mind is that during his time, it was during the Abbasid Caliphate, Khalifah Abbasiyah, which was established during the 750, I think, that is the time. And then during, when he was born, I think it was during Harun al-Rashid, who was the Khalifah at that time. And if you know about Abbasiyah, they established Baitul Hikmah. So it was established initially. It wasn't long after the establishment of Batrisyia, they started to establish the Royal Library, where they started accumulating all the transcript from Greek, India, Farsi, and the rest of the world. So that started the ball rolling. And then, of course, when Al-Kindi was born, he was born in this kind of environment. And we have to also bear in mind is that his father is a governor of Kufa. So meaning he has access to all of these materials and facilities. Now, not to say that having access will make you a great person, but that is, I think, a prerequisite for you to actually to expand your knowledge and contribute to the Ummah. So during his work initially, of course, as you mentioned, he also worked in chemistry. He's a polymath, meaning his area is quite vast. He wrote 250 books, and I can easily look and have probably more than 10 or to 15 different areas. He's a father of Islamic philosophy because I think he translated a lot of work from the Greek. He also worked on astronomy. He also worked in probability. In fact, his work on probability predates Pascal's work in France by a few hundred years. So that is his credentials. So that also doesn't make us a surprise. He also contributed to cryptanalysis because he do a lot of works in frequency analysis. I'll come back to that later. So basically, his background, his family, the government at that point of time make it feasible for him to do that.
Right. So what makes Al-Kindi special in terms of his exceptional quality as being a scholar and also a thinker?
If you look at Baitul Hikmah, you can see that, and also his background, he does not just zoom into one particular area. I know most of us, if you are a PhD scholar, you are very, very narrow, and you are only focusing on, let's say, computer science, and then you're only focusing on certain algorithm, and then even within the algorithm, you're only focusing in certain part of it. So you're very, very, very specialized, and you are not aware of what's going on outside your domain. But if you look at Al-Kindi, that is not so. From his work, 250 books that he wrote, you know that he's a polymath. He's well versed in a lot of things, and that makes him a very comprehensive scientist. And from my reading, he's also an expert in minyak wangi.
In perfumes.
So, yeah, perfumes.
I think that relates to chemistry.
Yes, that he works in chemistry actually leads him to become an expert in perfumes. So those kind of exposure in Baitul Hikmah, where in Baitul Hikmah they have a research unit, not only a translation unit, but also a research unit, where people from other areas are also working in the same physical environment. So this kind of interaction between different people from different background allows him to become who he is. So he's not only thinking from just a small focus area and disregard the rest, but he actually look into that and try to understand that from different perspective. He's looking at the environment and trying to use mathematics to describe the environment. Okay, he look at the issue of communication and information, which is what he's trying to do, and trying to look that from frequency analysis and probability point of view, which is leading him to do cryptanalysis. Now, cryptography is not new. That has been around for a very, very, very long time, since the time of Greek, Egyptian, the Pharaoh. They have been using cryptography. Cryptography is just hiding the information. So there is nothing new there. But having a scientific and mathematics approach in order to break the code, that is something new. And he wrote a treatise, a book on that. I don't think the book survived when the Mongol invade Baghdad 600 years later. But I think there is a copy of that in Sulaimania Library, I think in Istanbul. So there is a copy of that in Istanbul.
MashaAllah, it is indeed very interesting to know the qualities that made him an exceptional scholar and also thinker. And talking about one of his contribution by Hikmah, as you just talked just now, why was the Baitul Hikmah considered as one of the history's greatest centers for learning?
I think it does go hand in hand with the government of the day, the policy that they produce, and the interests of the Khalifa themselves with ilmu and knowledge. When I said before that when Batrisyia was established in 750, within 10 years they established the Royal Library. And then during the initial stage, most of the works are basically knowledge accumulation. Okay, but I think the first 50 years or so, if you look at the activities, it's mostly knowledge accumulation. So they get the transcript from Greek, from Persia, from India. That's where the translation of the Indian numeral become Arabic numeral. That happened. So most of the work at that time is basically chemistry, astronomy, because that's the need of the day. Understanding about how astronomy affects our life for prayer, for Siam, and those kind of things. So that is the initial part when Baitul Hikmah was created. Then during the second part, which is 800 onwards until towards the 9th century, there is this stage of knowledge creation. So they look at the translation, and then they improve upon it, they correct the mistakes, and then that's where they expand the knowledge and they create on top of it. Now you look at the timeline, it's not just a very, very short timeline, because for us, 10 years is a very, very long time. I know you're looking about 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years. So, kena sabar sikit lah. So, you have to be patient. You have to be patient. So things, like I said, good cooks take time, all right? Otherwise you get the 3 minutes Maggie me. So those are the things. So you look at the timeline of the knowledge creation between Baitul Hikmah, easily the first 50 years is the foundation, translation and everything. Then the knowledge creation part of it. Then the second part, the third part, the knowledge expansion. That's where you started to hear about Ibn Sina and the rest. That is during the third part of this knowledge expansion, and then only go into the engineering part of it, the technology part of it. Then you heard about the father of robotic, Al-Jazari. That is like the 12th century, I think, 11th or 12th century. And then by the 13th century, you have people incorporating all these things into governance. So that's the thing that we are looking here. So it's 500 or 600 years. So it's just not, it is just not touch and go. It is a very, very mature process. So 600 years, I mean, Malaysia is only very, very young.
Compared to the 600 to 700 years, mashallah, to be where it was on that time, the great place on that time, and taking from that, spirit, how can the modern universities take lessons from it, learn lesson from the house of wisdom or here by the Hikmah?
Don't work in silo. You have to know what's going on with the rest. You have to collaborate with other people who are not from our area. Doctor himself is a chemistry, now working in IKIM. Myself, I started myself as a computer science, but now I'm more into software engineering and AI engineering. But of course, I have to work with people in some other domains. So for I think universities has also started to have this structure in place. For example, in UTM, they have what they call it Research Alliance, which allows people from different areas to work together. I think a lot of our universities also have this platform where they allow interaction between people who are working in, for example, AI, to work with some other domain. For example, if you're talking about Islamic finance in AI, you have to have a lot of collaboration. Take for example, let's say we are talking about something like Gen AI. ChatGPT, that you have to use in an Islamic environment. Who need to be there? Of course, you need the computer scientist, the AI, the mathematician. Then you have to have the people from the Islamic background to be there. So definitely you need to have this collaboration. So I think the spirit of Al-Kindi and al-Hikmah at that time is that you have this collaboration. And they are experts, like I said, polymath. So they are not only expert in one area, but they are masters in everything.
MashaAllah, it's very interesting to know about his contribution to the society. And I think one thing I can conclude from your first sharing on the importance of the environment, the government policy on that time, the institution itself, and how to support. And from this great institution, that's where you can produce great scholars, great thinkers. Without either at one point you can't. These things can't happen, right, Prof?
It is. There is this concept of patronage. You have to have a patron in order to actually do some translation. So that's happened actually during the Abbasid Caliphate. So like nowadays you have to get a research grant. So that's the equivalent of the patron at that point of time, where they have a patron in order to execute what they want. Let's say they want to translate something, they have to have a patron, then only they can do it. So I think because Al-Kindi was from the house of nobility at that point of time, it's a bit easier for him to get this patron in order to do that. So that's the equivalent of getting a research grant that we have nowadays in order to execute your work.
MashaAllah, after this, we would like to know more on his contribution, especially as the father of cryptanalysis. But we go for a short break first.
Okay, thank
and
you.
to our listeners, after coming back from a break, we will learn, I think, something that's very interesting on the relationship between mathematics, algorithms, and modern computing. So don't get anywhere, stay tuned. Welcome back to AI in You, Smart Tech, Smarter You. You're still with us for today's conversation, Al-Kindi, father of cryptanalysis. And still joining us in this studio is Professor Dr. Shamsul bin Saifuddeen from the Faculty of Artificial Intelligence, Universiti Teknologi Malaysia, UTM. So before we went for a break just now, we listened to sharing from Prof. Shamsul, understanding that Al-Kindi was far more than a philosopher. He was a pioneering scientist whose idea continued to influence computing, cybersecurity, and artificial intelligence.
Right. Now, Prof, our topic is, of course, on Al-Kindi, father of cryptanalysis. So why is he regarded as the father of cryptanalysis? And I would like also to go back to what you mentioned earlier on frequency analysis. How does that change the science of cryptography?
When we talk about cryptanalysis, normally people will just think about Enigma machine.
Okay.
If you are aware of what's going on during World War II, you know about where the Allied forces, the British and the American, managed to get hold of these Enigma machines, and they managed to break all the German codes. So they know where all the U-boats, U-boat, everything, when they were about to attack the Allied merchant ships. So that's normally what comes to mind when people talk about cryptanalysis. But it is a modern work on cryptanalysis. But the fundamentals of it, the mathematics of cryptanalysis was actually laid out by Al-Kindi. Before that, there is no scientific work on how to break the code. So I said before, cryptography has been around for a very, very long time, since the time of even the Egyptian, the Pharaoh, the Greek. If you heard about marathon is where they relay information, where they write the code, they shave and then they write the code and then let the hair grow back, and then that's the code, and then when they arrive, they shave, and then that's the message. So that's cryptography. Specifically, that's steganography. So hiding information is nothing new. But in order to break the code, then you need scientific approach. So that's where Al-Kindi comes into the picture. Now, you have to have a very scientific mind in order to do that. You have to look at the pattern. So basically, it's a pattern recognition. It's a pattern recognition. Now AI is only about pattern recognition. It's the same thing, only different algorithm, and the size of data is, of course, much, much more bigger. So that's what Al-Kindi did. Because of his background in a lot of things, okay, mathematics, chemistry, some other things, and he managed to look at the pattern. And then basically, hiding information is either you write it and you hide with something else, like you had let the hair grow again, or you substitute that with something else. Let's say A with 1, B with 2, C with 3, and all in all until Z with what, 27?
26.
Correct? 26. Then when you write nama, will be the numbers that you use to substitute that. So that's basically what cryptography is all about. It's substitution of the original message with something else. It can be numbers. It can be the character itself. It can be some other things that you use to do that. So that's basically what cryptography is all about. So you have nowadays a lot mostly a number-based cryptography, and then you have nowadays quantum cryptography, which is a bit difficult to break compared to number-based cryptography. So coming back to that, so what he did was he looked at the frequency analysis of the hidden messages, and from there he can look at the message, and then once he accumulated and collect the data, the highest number will be equivalent to the highest number of characters that always appear in that particular language. For example, Bahasa Malaysia, probably what is the most common? A. So A, E, I, O, U is the most probably common. All right. So you can look at the distribution, then you can figure out from the more data that you have, the more accurate your prediction will be. So that's what essentially he did. He looked at the information and then tried to combine that and then look at the frequency distribution, and from there he will try to predict which is which. And after some times, then it will work. So that's basically what he did. So he used distribution and probability and looking at the distribution and then come up with a scientific method in order to break the code. And nobody ever did that before. And he's the first one who actually wrote on how to do that. Now you have to bear in mind that he's writing, when he wrote the treatise, it must be for something. There must be probably a need in order to break the communication. Before, remember at that time, they were still fighting with the Roman, or at that time is Byzantine Empire. So they need to break the Roman code. They need to break the Persian code. So there is this security need in order for them to do that. So that was what significant in terms of his contribution that laid the foundation of the modern cryptanalysis.
MashaAllah, it's very fascinating to hear. And when talking about Al-Kindi, people usually often relate it to another figure who also lived a few years, if I'm not mistaken, after his time.
A bit earlier than him.
Oh, earlier than him?
Yeah, Khwarizmi.
Al-Khwarizmi.
Yeah, a bit earlier.
We would like to know, how did Al-Kindi and al-Khwarizmi collectively influence computer science?
This one I have to give you the full list. It's not only just two. Let me give you the full list here.
Yes, bro.
Al-Kindi and Khwarizmi is, of course, the most important person, because Khwarizmi is the one who invented algorithm. Of course, the word algorithm itself from his name. And of course, he is also the one who invented algebra. I have a question. This is a bit outside of the topic. In algebra, when you say x equal, 9 equal 1 plus x, then x is equal?
Yes.
8.
8.
Why x? Why x? Where does it come from? It's come from Arabic, actually. During Khwarizmi time, he used the word x in Arabic as they say, the thing in Arabic, and that later on was translated into Spanish, and that word later on becoming X. So actually, it started with Khwarizmi himself. The word, the X itself.
From him.
From him.
Mashallah.
So it started with the Arabic word that he used to represent that. He called it the thing. Let's say 9 equal 1 plus the thing, and that's when it was translated into Spanish, and it was later shortened, and then it became X. So it does not come anyway. That's out of the topic. Just out of curiosity about how his work. So his influence is, of course, lasted until today when we talk about algebra. Anyway, coming back to the one that I mentioned just now. So just bear with me so that because these long names that actually Islamic contributed to the computing era. Okay, let me just give you the name. So we talk about Khwarizmi and Al-Kindi. We know about the name, but there are some other names that we should also know when we talk about innovation in the context of computing and IT. Ibn Haytham, of course, you know what his work is about experimental. That is also, in one way, contributed to the development of what we have here. Al-Jazari, we know his work is on mechanical automation. That also contributed to the work in what you call it, robotic nowadays. And later on, when we talk about cryptography and governance, then we have Al-Durayhim. Al-Durayhim was in the 13th century. He basically expand Al-Kindi works and have a more complete work on the advancements of cryptography and cryptanalysis. And then I mentioned about Al-Kashandi, where he's basically a governance people. He put that into the 14th volume that I mentioned just now, and that is something all the governor have to follow. So basically the GO, General Order of the Governor at that time. So you have Al-Khwarizmi, you have Al-Kindi, you have Thabit, which is on mathematics, Al-Biruni, scientific measurement, Ibn Haytham, I mentioned about that, experimental method. Ibn Sina is on structural knowledge and diagnosis, which is also relevant to computing. Al-Jazari, we talk about robotic. And then Nasaruddin Al-Tusi on mathematical models, which is very important to AI. And then Al-Durayhim and Al-Kashandi, which is on the protection of the data. So all of these names actually do have contribution to the modern era that we are so used today, whether it's AI or the social media or some other things that we use.
So in other words, we have so many scholars from
So
the
many
past
scholars that
have
are
laid
not
the
well
foundations.
known. Yes,
laid the foundations.
they are not well known, but they have their own contribution.
That's right. So speaking about contribution, why is Al-Kindi still relevant today in the age of AI?
Without data protection, we are naked. I mean, everybody can see our information. We have seen a lot of problem with scamming. The result, why the people they have scamming is that in order for them to get the code in order to break your account. So all those, we have to thank Al-Kindi, where he shows us that it's easy for people to break information. So we have to protect ourselves. So that's the essence of his work. Not only that, he allows the government to break the code of the enemy of the state, but also allows us to understand that, okay, the information, if it is not protected properly, people can have easy access to it. So I think that's why very important for us to understand their contribution.
So that very much relates to cybersecurity today.
Yes, definitely.
So what can we learn? I mean, today's researchers in this area, what can they learn from Al-Kindi?
Like I said before, it goes back to fundamentals, mathematics, and trying to understand that from the overall perspective, trying to look at the pain point of that point of time. Pain point meaning the real problem. So you're not using your research facilities just for the sake of publication. I think the government is also doing that now. They are pushing that to be, they call it translational research, meaning it has to be translated into the needs of the people. So I think that's what he did. He's looking at the problem of the government at the time, and then he's using his brain in order to contribute towards that. So I think that's the take-home message that I can see from Al-Kindi.
MashaAllah, thank you very much, Prof, for these sharings. And again, if before we go to the final part of the conversation, we will like to enhance again. We will like to highlight, put the spotlight on the contribution of the scholars throughout the Islamic Golden Age. Can the intellectual roots of artificial intelligence be traced back to the Islamic Golden Age?
Inshallah, because like they mentioned, all the ilmus that are there is our lost item. So we need to pick it up and learn. And that's what the spirit of Al-Kindi. He's basically says that all the truth, regardless of where it is from, you must pick it up. So you have to be able to make sure that it is correct in the first place. That if it is not, then you have to make sure that you rectify the problem, you improve. That's what they are doing. So it's just not matter of cut and paste or asking ChatGPT to create something and then claim that it's yours. So that is not so. So you still have to read, like I mentioned before. Even you have developing a new Islamic LLM, you have to make sure that the things that you train your Islamic LLM is based on Sahih Hadith, of course, the Quran itself, and then, of course, all these, the four mazhab that people are following. Then you have to train your LLM, and then once you train the LLM, then, of course, you make sure that it goes through a proper verification and validation. Then, of course, you have to make sure that there is human intervention, where during its trial, people who with the correct background and qualification will make sure that during the interaction it is correct, and if it is not, then there should be a correction on that also. So those are kind of things that we have to be when we want to make sure that things that we have done before, we can use that and we can improve in the future.
Yes.
I know we are running out of time actually, but this conversation is interesting. One last question, if I may.
Sure, Doctor.
If Al-Kindi was alive today, in your opinion, what would make him? What would he think about AI today?
I think he's okay, because for me, as a Muslim, we are looking for keredaan Allah, itu je. Okay, the rest is just method, cara. Ways for us to achieve that. So for me, AI is just a utility. I've gone through, my background is I started programming in 1982, 1982, that was last century. I'm 62, so a long time ago. So I've gone through, at that time it was the era of IBM PC, started programming on an IBM PC. Then we have internet, where it was, and then you have internet was what, 1980, towards the middle of 90s. Then you have Google, 98. Google was introduced in 98, all right? So not a long time ago. Then AI started to come towards the end of, actually Google, AI has been around for a very, very long time, but it started to become publicly available towards the end of 2000, towards 2010, and then 2010 onwards. Started to explode after 2015. So for me, AI is just a utility. Cara kita untuk mencapai sesuatu. It's just a vehicle, it's just a knife. You can use it for perkara baik, you can use it for some other things. So for me, if the Al-Kindi is here, definitely he will be using AI for the good of mankind, for the good of Ummah.
MashaAllah.
So you have to view that as a utility. It's not the end. It's just a utility. Mendapatkan mardatillah, itu sahaja. That's
It's
all.
not for replace us.
Yeah, it's not.
To help
It's just
us to
it's just a
our
utility.
work. Masya
At the end
Allah.
of the day, what we want is marzatillah, keredaan daripada Allah SWT. That's it.
Indeed. And as we are reaching the end of this conversation, Prof, our last question to you, what lesson should we take from the life, from Al-Kindi's life and work?
Never satisfied and never think that the knowledge that you have is everything. So you look at Al-Kindi, he explored everything. I remember, I'm not sure whether it's from Al-Ghazali or the one who think that he's an alim, he's a jahil. And the one who think he's a jahil, he's an alim. It's about knowledge, seeking knowledge.
The importance of seeking knowledge. Masya Allah.
Importance of seeking knowledge.
It's very insightful, Prof, and I'm very fascinated with our today's conversation, and it is very different from our usual topic.
Oh,
right,
okay.
Doctor?
I'm trying not to be technical.
I think it's beneficial to our listeners.
Yeah.
It is indeed to understand about the root of
Yep.
artificial intelligence. When we talk about the advancements, we need to know
We have
its
to be
history.
proud of, we have to be very proud of our heritage.
Indeed.
Yes, that's the thing. And without knowledge, without discussion of this, we don't know.
Good. It's quite unfortunate that not many people out there
Yep.
realize the contribution of Islamic Golden Age because of now we have the modern education that more focus on the highlight from the Persian and also from the Rome instead of focusing it
It's
on
more about the glitter of the life than actually the fundamentals or the knowledge itself.
MashaAllah. We have, I think, if you consider that 1 hour is not enough, we have a lot of questions actually. We would like to
There are
ask
other experts or other scholars that we can look into. Then probably that will open our mind. Then probably we can make them as our actually motivation to move forward. Inshallah.
It is. And the story of Al-Kindi reminds us that the digital era is the result of centuries of cumulative human knowledge as humanity enters an era shaped by artificial intelligence, quantum technologies, and advanced computing. Al-Kindi's message remains pursue truth with curiosity, reason with evidence, innovate with humility, and ensure that knowledge benefits humanity. So with that being said, we would like to thank Professor Dr. Shamsul bin Saifuddeen from Faculty of Artificial Intelligence, UTM, for his insightful sharing on today's conversation. Al-Kindi, father of cryptanalysis. Thank you very much
Yeah, thank you for having
your
me here.
sharing. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
And to our listeners, thank you also for tuning to us today. AINU Season 2 Smart Tech Smarter You is brought to you by the Center of Artificial Intelligence and Robotics, Cairo, Universiti Teknologi Malaysia, UTM. I'm Batrisyia Afrina.
And I'm Sheikh Muhammad Saifuddin bin Sheikh Muhammad Saleh.
Wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.